An analysis involves examining all the facts, determining what happened and why. All the detailed information gathered should be assembled and examined to identify what information is relevant and what information is missing. The information gathering and analysis are actually carried out side by side. As the analysis progresses, for the lines of inquiry requiring additional information will develop. To be thorough and free from bias, the analysis must be carried out in a systematic way. So, all the possible causes and consequences of the adverse event, in other words, of an accident, are fully considered. A number of formal methods have been developed to aid this approach. Hello and welcome. You are on the platform of Safety First. Today I am discussing about the accident investigation procedure. Step number 2, that is about information analysis. I'm your host Javed. If you are new on this channel, kindly subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. If you find the video informative, then like, comment and share with your friends and fellows. Let us discuss now what were the immediate, underlying and root causes of an accident. It is only by identifying all causes and the root causes in particular that you can learn from past failures and prevent future repetitions. The causes of adverse events often relate to one another in a complex way, sometimes only influencing events and at other times having an overwhelming impact due to their timing or the way they interact. The analysis must consider all possible causes. Keep an open mind. Don't reject a possible cause until you have given it serious consideration. The emphasis is on a thorough, systematic, and objective look at the evidence. Do you know what is the meaning of analysis or how you can make an effective analysis? There are many methods of analyzing the information gathered in an investigation to find the immediate, underlying, and root causes, and it is for you to choose whichever method suits you best. Have a look. There is a scenario. Mr. Jamshed break his leg. Why it happened? Because of falling due to gravity. From where he fall? Jamshed is on the ladder. Why he was on ladder? He was trying to get access to the roof. What is the reason of falling off? Jamshed falls because the ladder slips. Why the ladder slip? The ladder was not tied. Dear friends and fellows, this is the way how you will make an analysis. This is a very short example. Leg breaking have some reasons, not only one reason. So you have to find what are the immediate, what are the underlying, and what are the root causes or the reasons why Mr. Jamshed lose his leg. The most important thing is what happened and why. The first step in understanding what happened and why is to organize the information you have gathered. This training presentation uses a simple technique of asking why over and over until the answer is no longer meaningful. The starting point is the event. Mr. Jamshed has broken his leg. On the line below, set out the reasons why this happened. The first line should identify the vulnerable person, Jamshed on the ladder, the hazard, falling due to gravity, the circumstances that brought them together. Jamshed fell off the ladder. I'll give you a short overview of the principal questions that must be answered during the accident investigation process. Mostly, the questions are who, what, why, when, where, and how. Let us discuss these questioning words with examples. First of all, we will use who. For example, who was injured, who was working with him or her, who else witnessed the accident, who else was involved in the accident, who is the employee's immediate supervisor, who rendered first aid or medical treatment. The second important word is what. What was the injured employee's explanation after the accident? What were they doing at the time of accident? What was the position of the injured person at the time of the accident? What is the exact nature of the injury? What operation was being performed? What materials were being used? What safe work procedures were provided? These are the questions. Those must be answered unless and until there is no answer for these questions, you will not be able to gather correct information. And until and unless you don't have accurate information, you cannot make a good analysis. What personal protective equipment was used? What PPE was required? What elements could have contributed the accident? What guards were available but not used? What environmental conditions contributed the accident? What related safety procedures need revision? What shift was employee working? What economic factors were involved? Let us share a few examples with the questioning word when. When did the accident occur? When did the employee start his or her shift? When did the employee begin employment? When was job specific training received? When did the supervisor last visit the job? Do you know the questions? Those started with why. Why did the accident occur? Why did the employee do what he or she did? Why did co-workers do what they did? Why did conditions come together at that moment? Why was the employee in the specific position? Why were the specific tool or equipment selected? Dear friends and fellows, you are watching Safety First. Today we are discussing about the information analysis, step 2 of the accident investigation process. Let us discuss the questions. Those start with the word where. Where did the accident occur? Where was the employee positioned? Where were eyewitnesses positioned? Where was the supervisor at the time of accident? Where was first aid initially given? Let us discuss few examples for the word how. How did the accident occur? How many hours had the employee worked? How did the employee get injured? How could the injury have been avoided? How could witnesses have prevented it? How could witnesses have better helped? How could the company have prevented it? Dear friends and fellows, for each of the reasons identified, ask why and set down the answers. Continue asking why until the answers are no longer meaningful. Don't be concerned at the number of times you ask the question. Why? Because by doing so, you will arrive at the real causes of the adverse event. Some lines of inquiry will quickly end. For example, why was the hazard of falling present? Answer gravity. Having collected the relevant information and determined what happened and why. You can now determine the causes of the adverse event systematically. The final step of your analysis is to consider the environment in which the organization and planning of health and safety was carried out. This management section of the analysis must be carried out by people within the organization who have both the overall responsibility for health and safety and the authority to make changes to the management system. Record the underlying failings in the overall management system, that is, the root causes of the adverse event and the remedial action required at management level. The root causes of almost all adverse events are failings at managerial level. Dear friends and fellows, what if human failings, errors, and violations are identified as a contributory factor? If your investigation concludes that errors or violations contributed to the adverse event, an accident to happen, consider carefully how to handle this information. Not addressing the human factors greatly reduces the value of the investigation. The objective of an investigation is to learn the lessons and to act to prevent recurrences through suitable risk control measures. You will not be able to do that unless your workforce trusts you enough to cooperate with you. Laying all the blame on one or more individuals is counterproductive and runs the risk of alienating the workforce and undermining the safety culture crucial to creating and maintaining a safer working environment. Speak to those involved and explain how you believe their action contributed to the adverse event. Invite them to explain why they did what they did. This may not only help you but understand the reasons behind the immediate causes of the adverse event, but may offer more pointers to the underlying causes. Perhaps the production deadline was short and removing the guards saved valuable time. Maybe the workload is too great for one person, etc. Unless you discover a deliberate and malicious violation or sabotage of workplace safety precautions, it may be counterproductive to take disciplinary action against those involved. Will anyone be open and honest with you the next time an adverse event occurs? What you should aim for is a fair and just system where people are held to account for their behaviors without being unduly blamed. In any event, your regime of supervision and monitoring of performance should have detected and corrected these unsafe behaviors. Human failings can be divided into three broad types, and the action needed to prevent further failings will depend on which type of human failing is involved. Dear friends and fellows, you are watching Safety First, and today we are discussing about the information analysis, that is step number 2 of accident investigation process. Let us discuss now the skill-based errors, a slip or lapse of memory. Slips happen when a person is carrying out familiar tasks automatically without thinking, and that person's action is not as planned. For example, operating the wrong switch on a control panel. Lapses happen when an action is performed out of sequence or a step in a sequence is missed. For example, a road tanker driver had completed filling his tanker and was about to disconnect the hose when he was called away to answer the phone. On his return, he forgot that he had not disconnected the hose and drove off. These types of errors can be foreseen and measures can be taken to prevent or reduce their likelihood. For example, color coding a checklist, and interlock, etc. We are discussing the human errors or human failings. What are mistakes? Errors of judgment, rule based or knowledge based. Rule based mistakes happen when a person has a set of rules about what to do in certain situations and applies the wrong rule, while the knowledge based mistakes happen when a person is faced with an unfamiliar situation for which he or she has no rules, uses his or her knowledge and works from first principles, but comes to a wrong conclusion. For example, when the warning light comes on indicating that the cooling system pump is overheating, is there a rule for what to do? If not, do you leave the pump on, turn it off, or shut down the whole unit? Training, comprehensive safe working procedures, and equipment design are most important in preventing mistakes. After discussing the mistakes, let us discuss what are violations. Rule breaking, deliberate failure to follow the rules, cutting corners to save time or effort based on the belief that the rules are too restrictive and are not enforced anyway. For example, operating a circular saw bent with the guard removed. This type of behavior can be foreseen. The provision of training, simple practical rules, and routine supervision and monitoring of performance will reduce this type of behavior. When considering how to avoid human failings, bear in mind the fact they don't happen in isolation. If human failings are identified as a cause of adverse event, then you have to consider the factors that can influence human behavior. What are these factors? It might be job factors, it may be human factors, it may be the factors those are related to plants and equipment, it might be the organizational factors. Let us start with the job factors that can affect the human or that can influence the human behavior. How much attention is needed for the task? Both too little and too much can lead to higher error rates. Divided attention or distractions are present, inadequate procedures, and the time availability for completing that particular task. These all factors are related to a job. You have to consider these factors one by one. What are the human factors? Physical ability, size and strength, competence, knowledge, skill and experience, fatigue, stress, morale, alcohol or drugs. These factors should be considered because these are directly linked with the human behavior. Dear friends and fellows, let us discuss now the organizational factors. Work pressure, long hours, availability of sufficient resources, quality of supervision, and management beliefs in health and safety, the safety culture. Let us discuss now the factors. Those are related to plant and equipment. How clear and simple to read and understand are the controls? Is the equipment designed to detect or prevent errors? For example, different sized connectors are used for oxygen and acetylene bottles to prevent errors in connecting the hoses. Is the workplace layout user friendly? To go through the human failings, you have to consider organizational, plant and equipment, job, and personal factors in detail to conclude and to understand the root causes, the exact causes of the accident or the adverse event. Dear friends and fellows, to give you a better understanding of immediate underlying and root causes. I'm going to start a case study. In an accident, Mr. Jamshed once again lacerates his hand on the edge gluing machine. You are going to investigate why it happened. Because Jamshed was working on the machine. Why Jamshed was working on the machine? Because Jamshed was investigating a fault. The other reason why Jamshed hand was lacerated, because the saw blade made a stroke. Why it happened? Because the machine was live under power. Another angle, another way to think why Jamshed hand was injured. Jamshed hand was in the danger area. Why Mr. Jamshed hand was in the danger area? Because the guards of the machine were open. In this slide, we get three answers why Jamshed was injured. Number one reason, Jamshed was investigating a fault. Number two reason, the machine was live under power. And number three reason, the guard was open. In this slide, I will start. Jamshed was investigating a fault. Why he was investigating a fault? There was a fault on the machine. The machine was not working. What is the other reason? There is no procedure for reporting or repairing faults. What might be the other reasons? There were no arrangements for carrying out maintenance. Why there was no arrangement for carrying out maintenance? Because duties and responsibilities are not clearly set out. And I will tell you at the end who have to assign the duties and responsibilities clearly to the concerned staff and the employees. Reason number two, the machine was live. Why the machine was live? Because the machine was not isolated and the interlock had been defeated. Why the machine was not isolated? Because there is no isolation procedure. And secondly, Jamshed was not aware of need to isolate. Third reason, interlock of a type can easily be defeated. This interlock was not a quality interlock. It was a cheaper one and anyone can easily defeat. What are the other reasons? Risk assessment didn't deal with the risk. What might be the other reason? Jamshed was not competent for the maintenance work. He is only the operator. Once there was interlock was defeated, the risk assessment didn't anticipate any violation. All this was happening. Where was the supervisory staff? Supervision was poor. How bad the machine, the operator and the system is? Why? In the company, in the project, in the workshop, there was poor attitude towards health and safety. Let us discuss now why the guard was open. Guard was open because Mr. Jamshed was investigating a fault. And Mr. Jamshed wanted to see the machine operate under power. The third reason for removing the guard, access to the viewing port was obstructed. Do you know why it was obstructed? Because the workplace layout was inadequate. You cannot see if you will not remove the guard. As I told you, information analysis starts with how and why. Now I will give you the reasons or the causes. What were the immediate causes? What were the underlying causes? And what were the root causes of the accident where Mr. Jamshed lacerated his hand? His hand was injured. But I will start with how and why. Number one, edge gluer was used for aluminium without adjusting to suit. Number two, the saw blade was tearing the end of the sections. Number three, the operator decided to investigate the cause or fault. Number four, the operator decides that to find the cause, he has to run the machine. Number 5, the operator is unable to see through the viewing port. Number 6, the operator opens the guards and defeats the interlock. Number 7, the machine makes a cutting stroke. And number 8, the operator's hand is cut by the saw blade. This is the way, this is the sequence of adverse event. Injury of Jamshed hand was happened in this way step by step. Let us discuss now what were the immediate causes. Number 1 cause, not enough room around the machine to do the job. Number 2, the saw setup was not suitable for use on aluminium. Number 3, the interlocks fitted were of the type easily defeated. Number 4, there were no safe working procedures for the job. And number 5, operative not fully competent. Dear friends and fellows, you have to think in this way. These all are the immediate causes of accident. In the accident, as you know, Mr. Jamshed's hand was lacerated. Let us discuss now underlying causes. We are making information analysis. That is the step 2 of accident investigation procedure. Underlying causes of this accident are poor workplace layout, no risk assessments for use and maintenance of the machine. Risk assessments didn't address use of other material. Risk assessments didn't address violations. Safe working procedures were not prepared following risk assessments. Operators not trained on machine maintenance and safety devices. Level of supervision not adequate, should have detected violations. And lastly, all staff to be reminded of their duties and essential health and safety measures. Dear friends and fellows, let us discuss the root causes or the basic causes of this accident. Number 1, management commitment towards health and safety not communicated to employees. Number 2, health and safety assistants not fully competent and resourced. And number 3, unclear lines of communication and responsibilities. If you will make an investigation and if you will end your investigation and you will conclude a result on the basis of immediate causes, you will not dig up to find out the underlying and root causes. The accident investigation shall never be fruitful, complete, and productive. I'm just trying to give you a thinking, an approach, how you can investigate an accident, how you can gather information. And today I was telling you how you can make an analysis on the gathered information. Because Jamshed was injured, machine was there. Now you have to grab the information and then you have to find the causes, immediate, underlying, and root causes. And that's all for today. Training session is over now. If you have any question, please ask in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. Hope to see you soon with the new HSC tutorial, probably step number 3 of accident investigation process. Till then, take care. Good luck and Allah Hafiz.